Welcome to the Whole Career Podcast, where we explore the world of healthcare careers with Advent Health professionals. We're your hosts, Brandon Strong and Sky Kellogg, and we're excited to take you on a journey of career exploration, development, and success.
At Advent Health, we believe in caring for the whole person, which includes supporting our team members' professional growth and development. In this podcast, we'll be highlighting valuable career information, resources, and advice to help you succeed in both your professional and personal life.
Each episode will feature conversations with Advent Health professionals who will share their personal career journeys, insights, and perspectives on various healthcare careers. From nursing to technology to leadership, we'll cover a wide range of topics to help you stay informed and inspired.
Whether you're just starting out in your healthcare career or you're a seasoned professional looking to take the next step, this podcast is for you. We hope to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to grow, succeed, and make a positive impact in your field.
At Advent Health, we believe that we are greater as a whole, and we invite you to join us on this journey. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of healthcare careers together. Welcome back to the Whole Career Podcast. I am your host, Brandon Strong, and I'm joined by my co host, Sky Kellogg. We are excited, as always, because we have a wonderful guest with us today, Brittany Cotten. She is an associate HRBP with Advent Health Tampa. Brittany Cotten, how are you doing today?
I am wonderful. Very grateful to be a part of the podcast.
We were honored to have you. So we like to jump right in here at the Whole Career Podcast. So could you give us a brief overview of your role, kind of just setting the tone for the conversation that we'll have today for our audience?
Absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I am the associate HRBP. So, I serve as a consultant, assisting our leaders and employees with daily operations while partnering with shared services to assist with variable assets in terms of employee processes, compensation, payroll, benefits, etc.
Okay, so pretty much holding everything down right now, all
Yes,
things human
the
resources. Thank
jack
you.
of all trades, for
Okay.
sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Brittany. And we are thrilled to learn more about your journey. So if you could just describe that career journey to get you to where you are today.
Absolutely. It has been truly a blessing being a part of Advent Health. Fun fact, I started out in shared services as a call center representative assisting with incoming calls regarding their application status. So I quickly transitioned to our pre-boarding specialist role. I believe back in 2017, and in 2019, I had the opportunity to join talent acquisition as a recruiter. So my journey as a recruiter, I built a lot of great relationships. That way I could transition into human resources in 2021. And now I am the associate HRBP.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
What a journey. I
Yeah.
mean, talk
Yeah,
about really just elevating into the next step, and then the next one, promotion. I want to go back really quickly. A call center helping and kind of triaging. Do we still have that call center or that role still available?
that role is no longer available.
Okay.
I
Okay.
actually started as a contractor. It was a 4-month contract. So I left my full time permanent role to join Advent Health as a contractor, not even knowing if the position would become available full time.
Mm.
Was that just because you wanted to be with Advent Health? Can you give some background
Absolutely.
to that? Yeah. Okay.
Me to join a healthcare organization. And I heard so many great things about Advent Health and the mission.
Wonderful. Well, look at that. Taking that jump really paid off. That's a
Yes,
that's a beautiful part of your story. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
of
Yeah.
course.
So let's stay right there and talk about,
Yeah.
I mean, because it sounds like that was daunting or, just taking a leap of faith to something that is secure and then something that's not. What was your mindset? I know you said you were interested in Advent Health, but maybe take us through like some of the things that helped with making that decision for maybe a listener out there that's like, okay, I want to take a shot, but I'm not it's nothing set in stone, but I still know I need to take a leap of faith.
Absolutely. So, as a single mom, my family questioned my decision. I wanted to be a part of an organization that had a purpose that was not only for the patients, but also the employees. And so I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I said, God, I want to fulfill my purpose. Fun fact, I wanted to go to school to be a nurse. And then I realized that I was a germaphobe. So I asked God, how can I assist without being that clinician? And so human resources came to play, and I started doing my research about healthcare organizations, and Advent Health just stood out with the mission alone of extending the healing ministry of Christ.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for, and I will say your office is impeccable. So I know you said you're a germaphobe. That is one clean office. One day I hope
Thank you.
to have my desk as pristine as yours is.
No, obviously that sounds like that could be considered an obstacle that you chose to face in your career journey, but what are some of the unforeseen obstacles that you faced in your career journey and how did you overcome them?
Graduating college was a culture shock for me in terms of, and I believe any graduate can relate. When you go to school, you're expecting to graduate making six figures. That was not the case for me. I actually received an offer for $12. And not to say that $12 is not a significant amount, but when you're expecting to make $50 plus and you get a job offer for $12, it's really a shock for you. And so that was one of the obstacles of realizing that I had to actually earn my dollars. That just because you have a high school diploma or a master degree or even a bachelor's degree, that does not necessarily mean that you are going to make exactly what you're expecting graduating or completing an actual certification when you're going off to school to further your education. So, how I overcame the obstacle is I believe in a vision board, and that's very common. So I set myself goals. I actually reminded myself of what is your outcome here because I had a reality check is that it's not about the monetary value. It's about your purpose being fulfilled. And I had to go through that to understand that in order for me to be great in what I do, I had to fulfill my purpose.
And I keep hearing the thread of like meaningful work, like doing meaningful work and being driven by that. And I have to say, like your drive, but also your trust in your faith is present, very present. What would you to someone, providing that advice, someone who is directly in that same situation of the culture shock of trying to relearn a way of thinking, right? Because you go through college and you're like, okay, this is what's been taught to me, and this is what my perspective on what's going to happen when I leave here. And I think a lot of people get stuck in that cycle of graduating, and then they're just like, but no, this is what was said, but no, this is what I should have. And it takes them longer. The longer they stay there, there's a longer that or the longer that they prevent themselves from being where they need to be. So can you just share, I know you said the vision board, what's something else that you can give that's practical if someone is stuck right now that they can do outside of the vision boarding, if you could give a piece of advice.
Absolutely. You definitely have to position yourself for success. Any leader can vouch for me. Joining Advent Health, I would wear blazers, right? I wore blazers every day because I was positioning myself. It's the saying of fake it till you make it. I also read more books about human resources. I learned the field that I wanted to enter into. So I would definitely encourage any team members. It always start with the mindset. If you believe that it's possible, it is possible. Then start utilizing your resources. We have so many resources, especially today, whether it's YouTube, whether it's going to a certain institution to complete a certification. You have to set yourself up in order to be that person that you want to be because success is measurable and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to make a certain dollar amount to be successful. If you're happy, you're being successful. I will not encourage anyone to be motivated by a monetary factor, but more so for your purpose.
Thank you
And
for
you will hear me say purpose a lot
Mm.
because it's more fulfilling when you are entering into your career feeling whole, feeling as if you're making a difference. And that is aligning with God's purpose. Everyone has a purpose on the world.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's the clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
the clip.
Mhm. Yeah, Brittany, I really appreciate you sharing that. And I know a lot of people face obstacles in their career journey, and it looks different for everyone. And you sharing the monetary aspect is some that I'm sure many people face. So how did you remain hopeful during the difficult times when you felt like you were maybe at rock bottom? How did you pull yourself up from there, and what advice do you have for others?
Constantly reminding myself of the end goal. I definitely will encourage anyone during a difficult time, start to visualize the positive outcome for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping the end goal in mind.
Hmm.
So,
Yes. It's all about the mindset.
yeah, absolutely. So I want to start to talk about like your career trajectory, and then also give our listeners an understanding of like the tools needed for each role as we go through. So you mentioned you were a recruiter, and then HR coordinator, HR manager, right? And then of course associate HRBP, which I know those roles are the same. But can you talk to us about the different disciplines within HR? So I'm coming from the perspective of when people hear HR, they're like, "Oh, okay, employee relations." And I'm like, "That is not the only discipline. Like that's a part of it. There's TA, there is strategy, there is so many different things, employee experience." So, can you talk to us about maybe one or two of those disciplines and how what you do today kind of encompasses that?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, Brandon, there's so many different revenues in terms of the routes you can take for human resources. It's the benefits department, the payroll, compensation, talent acquisition, recruitment, as you mentioned, which is talent acquisition for those that's not familiar with the terminology, and benefits. So, what I would recommend if anyone is interested in any department outside of human resources, the number one task is to research the title, understand the different roles. Just going into college, I had no idea that recruitment will fall under human resources. When you think of human resources, you think of, okay, hiring and firing, not knowing that you have strategy, you have different revenues to take. So, research is the biggest key. And also starting the entry level route to see what you believe is a great fit for you. Because some people may think, okay, recruiting is not for me, but I'm more of a benefits type of person. I'm very hands on type of person. So I quickly realized being a recruiter that I enjoy people. I love that day to day interaction. And recruitment, although you communicate with different individuals, is more behind the scenes. So I took the revenue of being actually at the campus on the grounds of the booths, face to face interaction, conducting with all the different leaders, new hires, applicants, contractors, just building that network.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
what does that relationship look like that you have with the campus? How are you interacting with team members? What kinds of conversations are you having, and how do you ensure that you are able to show that you're listening to them and take their feedback and be able to make Advent Health Tampa a better place for them?
So my goal is to be that leader that everyone can rely on. So I am that listening ear. I listen to understand and not respond. So when my leaders come to me, I try to be that source, that consultant, that trustworthy leader that they can rely on. And they can also know if Brittany doesn't know the answer, it is okay to say, hey, I do not know the answer. Let me research it for you. And I also try to identify ways that we can all improve from a process standpoint or from an employee relations standpoint and just try to see the bigger picture.
Mhm.
That's awesome. And so, give us a typical day as an associate HRBP. Um, who a typical day, and then who do you collaborate with the most?
I would say that's a great question. Collaborating with talent acquisition for sure and shared services will be my partners that I collaborate with the most. But my day by day consists of multiple employees having issues, whether it's I'm locked out of the hub, or I have a concern regarding an employee, or I'm retiring. I don't know the steps. Can you please help me? I'm a little nervous about retiring. I am interested in transferring into a different position. What are my routes that I can take? Do you know a point of contact between the leadership? So really being that middle ground between shared services and also the facilities as well as the medical group clinics too.
And a quick follow up. So you mentioned, helping different team members with different parts. So like you have some that are entering, some that are leaving, others that are transferring, and I'm sure that requires a really extensive knowledge base. How did you were you expected to know these things? Were you able to learn about the different policies or rules and things when you were in the job? Or is this something that someone who's looking to become an HRBP or HR manager, where do they get that information to make sure that they're doing things by the book? Because I know it can be state policies that you have to follow, but it also could be internal Advent Health policy. So can you talk about how did you just learn all of that information?
Great question. We have a lot of policies within Advent Health for sure, and SOPs, which is the standard operation processes. But really, it's phoning a friend, collaborating as a partner. We are one HR and we try to collaborate together, but we have resources in terms of the SHRM certification that you can utilize outside of Advent Health. Because what I learned is that when you are entering into a new organization, the policies may be different, so understanding that you have that point of contact and also the leaders that can help you and just going by day scenarios. And human resources is all about one, your personality, your motivation, and also having that emotional intelligence along with common sense, I would say for sure, if I can be transparent.
Mhm. Absolutely. And can you share how some of your past experiences that you've been through in life really shape how you approach the tasks and everyday work of being an associate HRBP?
Absolutely. I have learned in my past experience is that you seek to understand before diving in trying to resolve a solution. If you don't fully understand the full picture, there may be a mistake that occurs, or you may not resolve the issue because you don't really understand the problem.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome. That's awesome. So, what was a fun experience that you had just while being in the HRBP, yes, associate HRBP position? What's something fun that you've done with Advent Health, whether that's for your employees or with your team?
I would definitely say with my team, Christmas time. I'm pretty sure she'll appreciate this. But my former leader, she actually have cows, and the ability to have a team outing in the Myers Ranch was an opportunity to just bond with the leaders. So I really enjoyed that opportunity being with my former team.
Awesome. And so I know that we have an employee experience partner in on site, at most of our buildings. Is that person the person that you seek guidance from for just making sure that employees are engaged? Like, can you talk to us maybe about the process of just collaborating with them to make sure, because you can't do everything, right? You may
Right.
know everything, but you just can't execute everything. So how do you collaborate with that employee experience partner to help make your life easier?
So setting expectations is very important when you are joining a department. And one of the expectations as a new member of human resources is making sure that you understand that there's no I in team. And I know we hear that statement a lot, but we really collaborate together and we rely on each other. As you mentioned, there's no way I can get everything done. And so our senior EEPs, along with our senior experienced partners, really set the foundation for the entire HR leaders to work together. And we also have different team chats where I can phone another HR leader at a different facility that can assist with something that maybe my team is not aware of. But we really strive to love each other because you work more than you are at home. And so I look at my team as family, and we are truly a family, and I'm blessed to be a part of the department. But we definitely strive and rely on each other, and we communicate. We have good and bad days, but we're able to communicate on a professional level as well, and rely on each other and trust in each other to do the job and get the task done.
And Brittany, you shared obviously being a working mother. That's something that a lot of people can relate to. I'm sure listening to this podcast, just being a working parent in general. How do you balance that, and how do you what advice? Let me reword that. Let me say that again. Um,
Good
s-
question.
let me. I was thinking about it as I was saying it, so let me reword it. But Brittany, how do you balance being a working parent, and what advice do you have for others that are trying to maintain a healthy work life balance?
If I can be honest, it is a challenge sometimes, but you really have to focus on what is priority, right? And so you have to think outside the box and be more creative in terms of keeping that work life balance. For me, there are times when you typically think of the office hours of being 8 to 5. That's in a perfect world. When you are a leader, there are times where you will have to stay late for work. And so, what I do, I designate a mommy daughter day with my daughter at least every other Saturday just to make sure that we have our personal time. And also, we have dinner every day together to make sure that we're connecting. And when she sleep is that this time that I go in and I check my emails, and I'm catching up on work when she's asleep, or waking up extra early to make sure that I'm doing my tasks and keeping that balance between my personal life and professional life as well.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
Awesome.
Hmm.
Awesome. And so being that, obviously the whole career, and we're hoping that people will be people who are trying to pivot, and, even like you were talking about those college students that, are thinking about like where they're going to be next in life. So your route was very linear, not easy, but in the sense of like, hey, I'm a recruiter. I already work in the healthcare industry. Okay. And then I'm on the TA side. And then I'm going to go to, the coordinating and then the employee experience right. And so it's linear in that way. For someone who may not have that background, what may be the next best degree, right? Because you studied human resources, but what may be the next best degree that can really translate into saying, "Okay, I could probably jump into human resources and add value."
Business administration. I would definitely say any business related degrees can assist. When you look at human resources, you don't think that it relates to customer service, but indeed it does. Because we are serving our leaders, we're serving our team members, and we want to provide that exceptional customer service. So, any background with dealing with customer service as an entry level to get into the doors with human resources, I would definitely say.
So, Brittany, just out of personal curiosity, I'm very interested in retention and how Advent Health works to keep their team members here to allow them to see their future with us. So, if you could just talk about what Advent Health Tampa is doing to retain their team members.
Absolutely. So retention is very important for our organization. We utilize a tool called Flight Risk, where it allows us an opportunity to visualize which individuals could be a potential risk due to the distance, for the location being overwhelmed due to short staff or due to not taking enough PTO. And so we really, really focus our leaders on having that one on one connection where they're communicating with the team, just a checkpoint to check their posts to see how things are working, what they can do to assist in any need for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that's I'm sure top of mind for lots of leaders, especially as we as an organization approach that 100,000 team member mark, right? Still making time for those one on one connections allow us to feel like a family and, like you said, continue to feel whole. So, yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I've actually never well, I wouldn't say never heard that, but the title of that is, so it's called Stay, and then like assessing like kind of like the flight risk of the candidate. Have For those conversations, are those easy conversations to have with some once you assess and realize someone might be and I know, I mean, this may be the part of, or the side of human resources that people are like, "Oh, I want to stay away from," but it's necessary. And so
Mhm,
I guess what I'm asking is, how do you all manage that, knowing that those conversations may not be the easiest and most fun conversations to have?
mhm.
Being transparent is so important when it comes to human resources. And so it is okay to be vulnerable in those meetings. When you're having the uncomfortable meetings, I would initially start off my meeting and say, hey, this may not be an easy conversation, but it's very important to have. And it's setting the tone and the expectations and being prepared for the meeting and emotions.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love that tip of just being transparent right off the bat so that way people can feel comfortable and, like you said, just be themselves and be honest. So, it's a great tip. Um in what ways would you say that your career has helped you feel fulfilled?
It's all good. You got it.
Let me ask again. Um we'll start over here. Brittany, in what ways does your career help you feel fulfilled in your day-to-day?
The ability to assist my leaders and team members who are serving those patients. So it's such an honor that I'm able to make it easy for those leaders because they're in the field. They are in surgery, they are serving our patients, whether it's delivering a meal, cleaning up the rooms at the hospital for another patient to enter. And so I have the ability to assist them on the back end. So I'm indirectly helping those that serve.
Yeah. And we didn't mention this, but Health Tampa is very large. So how many team members are you serving currently there?
Over 3,000.
Yeah. Just wanted to
Yeah.
highlight that because I know just to paint the picture for our
Yeah.
listeners, that's a lot of team members to be
Yes.
supporting day in and day out. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's growing.
impressive.
Tampa's growing. Yeah.
It is it's growing. It's a beautiful thing. Tampa is amazing.
So, Brittany, what is one last piece of advice, just a golden nugget you want to drop? You've been doing that all throughout the podcast, but if you don't mind sharing, one last piece of advice for our listeners.
Keep God first, for sure.
Amen.
It is possible through God.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely. And your story has certainly displayed that, your faith throughout your journey, personally and professionally. So, Brittany, thank you for sharing that with us. And thank you so much to our listeners for listening to the Whole Career podcast. We hope that you subscribe and leave us a review as well. And until next time, take care.